This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that sponsors or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, for your half-assed entertainment news with no bullshit, with our hosts, Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk 4.
G'day, guys. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, Summer Helene. Hello.
Hello.
I'm tired. Summer, hello. I'm your host, Summer Helene, and we are on with my co-host. What's your name?
Okay, so your name is now Summer Hello, and we don't even know what my name is. Hi, everybody. My name is Bear Fiorda.
Do you really need the advertising?
Some parts, yes, but for the most part, no. I think I'm okay, right?
Yeah. You ask why I buy you the horrible treats you have to eat. This is why. We have treats for today.
We do have treats today.
We do. I'm not wearing my ears, though, because look at these fabulous earrings. Shout out to Matthew Morris Fine Jewelry. I like anything that sparkles.
That's fair, and you want to show it off. So today, I'm the little ears on. Does that make me special, or does that make me, like, behind in the trends?
You're like the little kid in the short bus. You have your little ears on. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Cody Ko. We are going to be talking about
Cody
Sloan,
Ko.
Colleen Ballinger. We are going to be talking about Illuminati. We are going to be talking about Dr. Disrespect.
And what's that last one? Tyson, Chris Tyson, right?
I was going to talk about Matt Pat, but okay.
No, we're already on the trend of like terrible influencers in modern age.
Which is why I wanted to talk about a good influencer, Matt Pat.
We talk about Matt Pat too. He did retire though, so that's why he retired like the best way though.
This is what Bear's eating today. He loves chili, hates mango. So let's see how he does with gummies.
Chili mango.
Just shush. Keep talking to him.
Anyways, as I was saying, Matt Pat retired from YouTube. It was probably about a month ago when he actually did that, but it's coming out now that he's kind of not following what he's been said, and that was that he intended to be a part of his channel, still intended to be a part of the show and show himself off in the episodes, but no one has seen him since. Almost like he dropped off the grid. And
yeah, he'll pop up as the numbers needed.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it's a bad thing. The guy built an empire for himself in a nutshell, 40 million subscribers. He's got plenty of teams to operate it, and he's done. He wants to go with his family.
He's been
and
on
relax.
like 20 years.
He has. So he's good to stop whenever he wants to stop. Unlike more commonly known, more common information right now with Cody Ko, Chris Tyson, Dr. Disrespect, unlike these YouTubers who have to likely quit because they're child touchers.
That's not the word I would have used for them.
We're on YouTube. You got to be careful what words we use.
Monsters?
Monsters is good. Monsters is good. You can probably call them P-diddlers if you want to do that.
No, that sounds too cute. Eat this.
Eat this. All right, we're starting early then.
Yeah, I just want to see him eat it.
Can I grab it?
Yep, grab it.
You're pinching. There we go. Oh, I ripped it. Fair enough.
Put the whole thing in your mouth and chew. That was anticlimactic. I was hoping it would burn him. Can we get some of those chili nuts or something? Do you want chili nuts?
No.
I can make it.
It's kind of spicy, but let's be real here. It's candy. You know, it's a mango candy. And I like the flavor of mango on candy.
You don't get any more.
It was okay.
You're too fat for your fight anyway.
Oh, damn. She's right, but still, you didn't have to do me like that.
Well, you want to tell everyone what you got going on?
Well, pretty personally, I got a fight coming up in September. I believe it's on the 14th or 16th. 14th. At the Commerce Casino in the city of Commerce. At like 180 pounds, and I'm currently 215. That powder got into my throat.
Excellent. Keep going.
Anyways, what? Anyways, so that's what she's referencing me as being too fat right now.
And who are you fighting?
A gentleman I'm referred to as Mr. London. He
doesn't remember his name.
He has been on shows such as MILF Manor. And
you don't remember his name, do you?
And he's got his own following, which is why we were putting together the fight.
Get him.
And he's not even, it's actually funny. It's a lot of the people who fight.
Christopher
London. It's funny. A lot of these guys fight as influencers, but like to show off or to be part of an event. Like even Karate Combat has their own influencer fight club. But he's actually a fighter who also happens to influence like what I do. So it's going to be a really good fight.
So you're going to get beat up by the dude from MILF Manor?
It's potential. I'm hoping I beat him up too. Let's make it equal opportunity.
He
beatings.
already has mummy issues. Why would you do that to him?
Does he have mommy issues?
He's on MILF Manor. His mom's fucking guys his age.
Unless his manager or agent put him on there. You never
Watch
know.
MILF Manor. Watch what his.
I have
mother's doing.
seen MILF Manor a little bit.
Mostly we watch it with that Cooper guy.
We watch it with yes. Shout out to Film Cooper for all of his wonderful breakdowns of MILF Manor and how we got into it in the first place.
And now you're punching the guy from MILF Manor. It's a turnaround. We should invite Cooper out to your fight.
It would make a lot of sense.
Let's do that. Let's
We can
invite
do that.
Cooper out. I'm like
but we're
trying to
getting,
fix my hair.
we're getting
flipping it around.
sidetracked
Stupid.
by hair, MILF
Like-
Manor, and other YouTubers.
I have ADHD. Shut
Well,
up.
That's why I'm trying to pull you back into the topic of influencers who are touching, inappropriate aged people and getting kicked off the
You
internet.
should not have said that after talking about the dude you're fighting. Just sounds like you want to molest him now. And by the way, again,
I don't
he
know
was on
where
MILF Manor.
though. I don't know where you made those connections in your head.
He was on MILF Manor.
Why is your obsession with that show?
Because it's something I think my mother and brother would go on with their creepy ass relationship.
Did they listen to the radio show?
Hi, mommy.
Shots
Be nice
fired.
to my brother's
There's a-
partner. Like my
there's
sister-in-law.
clearly some.
My sister-in-law is amazing. I'm like, and my mom has those just no mother-in-law moments where I'm just like, stop.
Would you now part of what you do and what you talk about on the internet is you spin people's bad public stories.
It's
Would
called
you-
reputation management.
Would you help these guys out? Would
From
you
MILF
help
Manor?
out? No, I'm not on MILF Manor. I'm sticking to the topic of what we're discussing right now.
Fine. Okay. So what I'm hearing from you is you're only interested in
The topic we picked before the show.
children touching.
Oh, for God's sake! Never mind. Talk about whatever you want.
No, would I spin for them?
Basically,
How-
yeah. Is there any amount of
how-
money that'll get you to spin for these guys?
No.
Okay,
There's,
good.
so
I don't
I
want you to.
foster kids. I have adopted kids. I like children. I like them
Mhm.
better than adults. I don't like adults very much. But I love children.
There's also
They're like horribly honest monsters, and they will insult everybody. I love them. They're like little insult machines.
Little
with
insult
germs.
machines. And the worst part is it's all authentic. They don't mean
Yeah.
they're not trying to be insulting. They
No,
just
they're
say
just
it
honest,
because
and
they
I
have
love
no
it.
filter.
I
Yeah.
love it. So my problem when it comes to this is I couldn't do it. I couldn't I'm doing a show called Cancelled, which talking about people that have been cancelled in media. And we've got a bunch of people that have been through like traumatic things, that have had issues in media, and I don't mind helping them. My line really is with people
That
that
one
hurt
aspect,
children. I've dealt with children that have been the victims of this. I've fostered them, and there's no reset. There's never a point that I mean, you can get better, but there's no reset. There's no do-over.
Yeah.
No.
I also just don't support these people in any way. Fuck them. I'm sorry. Like,
I'd like to remind
If you
everyone,
have to-
every time we use bad language, we give money to the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Humane Society of America, and Free MMA. We swear.
because we care. Yes, we do. So again, for the
Shout
creator,
out to our
Dr.
Hang on.
Oh, you want to do
Before
shout outs right
yeah,
now?
we have to do shout outs.
All right, we'll do it right now. Go ahead.
Okay. Shout out to our partner in Phoenix.
Oh, do you mean the hotel? Embassy Suites Hotel in Phoenix, Arizona.
Shout out to our giveaway today is
Is it off-road rentals in Palm Springs, California?
thank you for this gorgeous jewelry from
Matthew Moore's Fine Jewelry.
He's Learning.
Yeah, I'm getting better at
Shout
this.
out for my fabulous hair too,
KM Extends,
and
Tiny Bubbles Hair Salon.
in
Woo! Palm Springs, California.
fantastic.
I almost never
and
give out these at all, so
we're practicing.
we're practicing.
And shout out to Runway. They're going to be doing an article on me, but more importantly, they did a spread on my reality star,
Yes, they did.
Candy
Brandy.
Brandy Newman. I'm like, I went to say Brandy Newman, formerly Brandy Moses, and apparently that came out Candy. I'm
That's
done.
okay.
I've had no sleep. We spent all day in meetings in Los Angeles yesterday.
Yeah. How did that go, by the way?
Terrible.
Oh, okay.
It was terrible. I found a couple of good people,
Yeah.
but for the most part, no.
Yeah, I heard you had one incident with a particular lady that we can go into later if you want.
No,
Never mind.
we can't.
That's all right. I don't want to divulge any secrets or
We
ruin
can't.
any NDAs.
But I did meet with the Britneys, and I love them.
Who's Brittany?
Brittany. So Brittany Schmidt and Brittany Furlong. Check them out if you can. Brittany Furlong with the Vine Star.
Okay.
She's married to Tommy Lee. She has her own podcast and radio show with Brittany Schmidt. Check them out if you can. Funny as fuck.
Awesome.
So shout out to them. I'm trying to get them into a reality show. Don't tell. I'm kidding. They already know.
They
They already know. Yeah, that was what we were talking about. But them, I really like. I met a producer that I really like. I met with an attorney that I'm just trying to be friends with.
You
I
meet a
freaking
lot of
love
like
this
really
guy.
interesting people.
Okay. The attorney dude I met with, I really like. He made Red Sonja. Check it out. Movie's coming out. Fantastic film. And I just happen to like him. I'm burying something for him at Paramount just because I want to, because I want to see the film.
You're burying
Unburying.
Oh, you're unburying. Okay.
I got to go catch an IP for him. But the worst part is I made a complete jackass out of myself. So I'm sitting there. I'm used to explaining things to people that don't know shit. So I'm sitting there and I'm explaining to him how to unbury and untangle this IP. And he looks at me, he's like, I'm an IP attorney. It's like,
he's an intellectual property attorney.
And so, but he let me finish before he reminded me. I knew this beforehand, but he let me finish. I think he was just checking to see if I knew my shit. But he let me finish, and then he's like, "This is my job."
I would think it's polite to let someone finish. You know, like, you don't want to interrupt.
He doesn't. No, he interrupts me on everything I'm wrong on.
Oh, okay.
And he does, and I've been wrong a lot on like superhero stuff. I'm really so anyone that my cats are named after Jim Henson characters. I'm heavily into like comic books and sci-fi, certain types, not the crappy shit he likes, like Star Wars.
It's like one of the godfathers of sci-fi.
Gay.
There's three I'd say three big ones in that time period. Yeah. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings or Hobbit. You have Star Trek and you have Star Wars.
Time period. Tolkien
Tolkien's
was way
before them. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's from that age of like early sci-fi. Those are the three big ones.
No, babe, you boy.
Name another one. Name a bigger one than Star Trek, Star Wars, or The Hobbit.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Absolutely not.
You're talking about
100%
films.
not.
I'm talking about books.
I am. I think cult following wise, that no way peaks the other three.
And this is why I was happy to talk to Luke. It was nice to talk to somebody who kept track of comics and graphic novels and didn't suck.
I'm going to Google this. No, I'm going to hold a live stream and ask the
Okay.
audience's opinion.
So you don't want to Google it because that'll prove you wrong, but you want to ask your friends online.
I'm gonna ask
they'll agree.
my wonderful friends who come on my live stream and they will agree with me, and then I'll show it to you.
God, you're such a pain in the ass. All right, we have a very special guest. You want to
Yes,
Brady
we
Mom?
have Jeremy Miller on the show today. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
How you
G'day,
doing?
Jeremy?
How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Good. We figured we'd wait between discussing pedophilia and inviting you on. Given the child star thing, we didn't think.
Well, I was going to say, hey, that's pretty appropriate, actually. Not that I experienced that in the industry or anything. Had my own issues with family.
Family.
Family and crap, but didn't experience that personally. Before we get into this, real quick, there's somebody you should check out. Isaac Asimov is the grandfather, the founder of sci-fi.
I have heard of his name. Yes, I have friends who tell me
Everything that came for Star Trek and Star Wars came from him.
Yes, it does.
So that's the guy you want to definitely check out.
Isaac Asimov.
Ha.
Don't give me ha.
Ha.
I was referencing pop culture pieces, not.
Yeah, that's pop culture, and that's huge. But yeah, all of that. I'm a huge sci-fi guy, and all of that came from Asimov. If you like sci-fi, check out Foundation and Empire. Check out his work; you'll love it.
Hell yeah, man! Thank you. Hey, speaking of being in the industry and sci-fi, would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
No worries. I played Ben Seaver on Growing Pains. It was a hit show in the 80s. I was the youngest brother. I also got...
It's still a hit show, still on rerun, and still very tweeted and quoted. Just FYI.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I also was privileged enough to play the voice of Linus on the Peanuts gang on multiple different specials. So that was also a real honor and real pleasure. And I'm still acting, still doing a lot of independence and stuff. I'm actually leaving for a fitting in about an hour to do a new TV show I'm doing. It's actually called Angel. It's a cop street crime drama. I play a detective, and it's going to be on, I believe, don't hold me to this, it premiered on BET, and I believe the second season will also be on BET. So,
Oh yeah.
I'm still doing it. I'm still involved.
That is usually how distribution works. They get pissy when you take it from one place to another. I know that from experience.
Yeah, so I have no idea what's going on with it. That's definitely above my pay grade, but it'll be out sometime this coming year.
Oh yeah. Quick question. I got really excited when I heard you on the show because I only know you, at least not from Growing Pains, but from the Peanuts Gang specials. So I was.
You don't know.
I know the show. I never watched.
There are bits training on TikTok.
I know the show. I never watched the show. I'm sorry.
Believe me, it's okay.
How did you get involved in being the voice actor for Linus?
Honestly, back then they didn't keep voice actors and regular actors very separate. Nowadays people really specialize in voice acting. Back then you only had a few people who did that, and then they'd bring in actors like us and try us out. And I was a kid. That's all it was. I got called in. They brought me into a recording studio. Lee Mendelson, who was the head of Peanuts Television at the time, he basically ran that side of it for Charles Schulz. Charles Schulz did not want to be a part of the television or movie side of it. So I went in and read, and Lee Mendelson came in and said, "You sound the most like the original Linus I've ever heard. You're hired." And it's the only time I was ever hired on the spot. So
I'm actually gonna tell a horrible story. They stopped hiring children as voice actors. My friend Dev Ross wrote The Land Before Time, and in the early 90s, because of what happened to the little girl that played Ducky and voiced in All Dogs Go to Heaven, they actually stopped hiring children as voice actors as much and started hiring adults. She was murdered by her father.
Oh,
yeah, wow! It's not shocking. It really isn't. The more you put kids in these precarious positions, it creates issues. And any company like that's going to be worried about liability. I mean, they don't care about the kids. But let's get it straight. They care about covering their ass.
No, I get it. I'm the heartless bitch on the other end. That's what I'm looking at. My only line is kids. Everyone else, I'm like, he died on set. Do we have insurance? Like with the kids.
Well, I'll tell you. I've been in this off topic, but I've been in recovery for years now. I've worked in recovery. I'm a huge believer in second chances. I have seen people who have done some of the most horrible things in the world turn their lives around and become some of the best people and best citizens and the most helpful, wonderful, giving people you've ever met. But I too, like you, have that line.
Yeah. You kill someone, I believe you can come back. You run a gang,
I do.
Come back. You hurt a kid, we done.
I'm with you on that. I'm the same way. I really do believe there is always a second chance, except in those cases.
Okay, well, they've even showed the wiring at that point is different. It's not good. It's I do think there was one guy, he calls himself a righteous pedophile, and basically said, I'm attracted to kids, so I'm taking myself off the grid, moving out of society, and done. He's like, there is
he lives like a hermit near an abandoned beach somewhere.
Hey, more power to him. That's awesome.
He never did anything, but as soon as he said these invasive and intrusive thoughts, he's like, I'm not safe to be around kids.
God bless him. That is amazing to hear.
And that's
because that does not happen very often. I mean, even on our set, which was amazing, we had amazing people. Nothing happened to the people on our set, but 2 years out, or a few years after we went down, one of our executive producers went to prison for production of child pornography.
Oh shit!
And the guy who has been the main focus of that damn documentary about Drake, Drake and all the abuse and everything else, worked on our show for all 7 years.
Wow.
The guy who was grooming all the kids on Nickelodeon worked on our show. He lived in my back house. Man. I mean, we were around these people. Yeah. So yeah, nobody cares about the kids in this industry. You know, they all like to say they do, but they really don't. They may, and I'll say this. I'm sorry. Not everybody in Hollywood is a pedophile. It's no worse than anywhere else where children are put in the hands of adults and parents leave them unsupervised. You know, it happens gymnastics, sports, all sorts. I mean, even, I'm sorry, this is going to piss a lot of people off, church camps, you know, also anywhere where you are leaving your children in the hands of adults.
Well, I think
you know,
people like that, predators seek out jobs and opportunities.
They absolutely do. They flock to those jobs. You know, Hollywood is definitely a place in production, if it's going to be around kids, where they're going to flock to. You know, like you said, the sports programs where this is a position of trust, they're going to flock to those programs. You know, it just, that's kind of the way it goes.
That's what McDojo talks about.
So I'm a lifelong martial artist. I compete in the cage, and I've been doing that for damn near 20 years now. And I'll tell you right now, my industry is saturated with pedophiles. Oh, can't say it. Damn, it's YouTube. Saturated with people like that. It's
Are you on crack?
Wholly inundated, and it sucks because it's like every other school in some no-name city is gonna have a you know, one of those people as a coach. And it's, for God's sake, it feels like the whole. And I'll tell you this: it does feel like, with all the stories out there, that every coach is going to do something bad to a kid. And that's not the case. It's just you hear about so many of those stories that it drowns out everything else.
Well, that's exactly it. I'll tell you, I the same. I mean, I haven't fought in the cage. I haven't done any of that. I was a little past my prime when UFC came around. But I was in martial arts from 7 years old on. You know, when I started getting jumped because of the show and bullied and things like that, you know, my mom enrolled me in a McDojo originally. Oh yeah, originally it was Red Dragon Karate. You know,
shout out to McDojo Life. Go investigate.
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous. But I moved on. I ended up actually at one of Chuck Norris's studios, and I got to work with him and a couple of his guys for, you know, about 5 or 6 years.
That's awesome.
Chuck would actually come in, you know, 5-6 times a year and work with us and stuff. But I had the good experience. Yeah. I mean, I was around these guys all the time. We were on travel teams. We went to tournaments. And none of us, I mean, I still talk to those guys. None of us had those experiences. There are good coaches out there. There are good people out there who care. But, you know, man, as a parent, you got to be careful.
So you got into film, you got into martial arts, and somehow you just edged past those bad guys. And one of them was living in your backyard. I don't know how. I'm glad you did that, or you have some serious
I'll tell you, I don't believe I do. I've been you know, in recovery and therapy and all those kinds of things many times over. But I'll tell you, he still groomed us in the same way. Nothing may have happened, but everything that Drake talks about that he did to ingratiate himself into Drake's family's life, he did with us.
So you were the test run.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, he did every last little thing. It was really creepy to watch the documentary because I was just like, wait a minute. I mean, everything.
Yeah. Well, that's, they do, they practice, they poke, they test the waters. So now that we've talked about those horrible things, I want to go to the next horrible thing.
It does remind me of the Justin Bieber situation with P. Diddy and all that. That's 100% what it emulates to me.
Yeah. Well, that was tragic. Shout out to Justin Bieber's having a baby.
Yeah, congratulations to him.
Congrats.
So one of the things, I got way sidetracked. I wanted to ask you about before we got on this awful topic, which actually is a really good segue into this. That's terrible. That's even worse.
Oh, no.
Well, you were a child actor. You know, your family issues and stuff were pretty heavily publicized and all of that. What do you think of the YouTube families where they're pulling their kids in and that's where they're making their money now? Is off their kids. Sorry, I just want to be as controversial as possible.
No, I'm an open book and I'm good with talking about it. I don't like it very much. Now, let me have a caveat there. There are kids who want to do this. There are kids who are natural born performers. You know, I was one of those. I was at 4 years old up on grandma and grandpa's pool table telling stories and telling jokes to their friends. And so there are children who are like that, who are going to want to make skits and do things. But the problem is, like anything, you're going to get a lot of these parents who are doing it because they want to, and they're making their kids do this and they're profiting off of them.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
The Keegan rules don't apply to YouTube, to any of that, so they don't even have to put the.
Well, unfortunately, the Coogan rules only apply in 5 states anyway, so
Valid.
it's not a national law. So that's one of the reasons why 80% of the work is being done outside of Los Angeles and California and all the other places that have the Coogan law. Because they don't have the child protection laws. They don't have the work hour laws for the kids. They can take these kids to other states and work them 16 hours. They can take their money. They can't, Sorry, that's a soapbox issue for me. It pisses me off that it is.
Taking notes for my next production. I'm like,
the fact that it is not a national law is infuriating.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really terrible. One of the reasons I avoid working with children, and I do, a ton of reality television. I make very few exceptions. I made an exception with like Queen of Temecula because I'm comfortable with the family. I'm comfortable. The mother came from entertainment and is very protective of her children. So that made me a lot more comfortable. But in general, I'm not a fan of working with children at all, if I can help it, for that reason.
So if a parent came up to you and said, I want my child famous, do whatever
that happens every fucking day. Sorry. That happens to me I had to move. They followed my child home. So
I feel you. I really do. It's everybody, every mother, every parent, every person I meet. How do I get my kids in? How do I do, and I tell them the same thing that I kind of guided with my kids. I'm like, unless they are dying to do this, unless they can see nothing else and all they want is this, keep them the hell away from this business. I tell them the same thing every time. And that's what I told my boys. It's not that I wouldn't have supported them. If they wanted it, if they were just dreaming about it and wanting it, I would have absolutely supported them. But, my oldest, when he was about 16, came to me and said, hey, Dad, I think I maybe want to give this acting thing a try. So I sat him down and I said, well, first of all, let me explain to you what that entails. So you're not playing football anymore.
Yeah.
So you're not going on dates anymore.
Yeah.
I said, you're going to go to school. I'm going to pick you up from school, or your mom's going to pick you up from school. We are going to drive you to interviews while you do homework in the car. We're going to sit in traffic pretty much all day. We're going to run you to interview after interview. You're going to finish your homework in the car. If it's not finished, you're going to do it while you eat dinner. Then you're going to shower. We're going to rinse and repeat. And we're going to do this 5 days a week, every single day, every single week. I said, your only free time will be on the weekends. And that's if they don't call you in for a weekend interview, which happens about 3 times a month. And he just got this look on his face. He said, Dad, I think I'll stick with football. I said, probably a smart idea. This is not a lark. You know what I mean? It's not. This is a really tough business. This business eats children for breakfast. I was very lucky. I mean, the fact that I came out only with alcoholism is a freaking miracle. It really is. And it only goes to speak to, the strength of my family and the people around me who took care of me and kept me protected and kept a head on my shoulders. But this business eats kids for breakfast. And, unless a kid is just absolutely obsessed, dreaming about it, wants it, knows this is all they want to do. And very few kids at 6 years old know that, right. I think you should keep your kids the hell away from this business.
Well, considering that our show is supposed to be 18 plus, which means you probably have quite a few 14 and 15-year-olds listening in, especially the ones I unfortunately that listen on my live streams too and end up going to listen to the show.
All the kids.
I think it's important that they kind of understand as well why you say that you only fell into alcoholism. Would you mind explaining a little bit of that aspect of your journey?
Absolutely. Now, the main trauma that I dealt with that the alcoholism kind of stemmed from was a sexual abuse and mental and physical abuse from the stepfather. That was the main trauma. But being a kid actor, I was not equipped to deal with anything.
Right.
At 5 years old, I started working. I didn't get to learn. I didn't get to grow up. I didn't get to learn to be a kid. I didn't get to learn to process anything. I literally went from 5 years old to you have to be a professional. You have to act like a professional, carry yourself as an adult, get your job done, be on time. Nothing else develops. You're focused on completely other things now. You know what I'm saying? I was unprepared for life. I mean, just unprepared because I didn't know what real life was. It's not that I was pampered or catered to or anything else. I mean, I had chores at home and, you know, this was a time ago and it was okay to give your kid a swat. And believe me, if I mouthed off, I was going to get one. I had a very normal life, but growing up on set, you have a different focus. Your whole development is thrown out of whack. And when it came time to deal with trauma, when it came time to deal with just life on life's terms, I was completely unequipped. I had no life skills whatsoever. So when trauma started happening, I didn't know how to deal. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to go to. I didn't know what to do with it. And I found, hey, alcohol shuts that down pretty good. You know, that anxiety I'm feeling all the time, all of a sudden it goes away. I'm nice and calm. I can carry myself with some confidence. And that's how it began for me. I may be genetically disposed. I've never had an off switch. I did actually start drinking at like 4 years old. That's not a joke. Mom says it was around 6. Grandma said it was 4. But after Grandma and Grandpa's parties, I would go around and finish the last sips of beer.
That would screw with your wiring pretty good.
Yeah,
at that development stage.
I'm sure it probably did.
Language development stage of your life.
Yeah,
where kids
I mean,
soak in all the how to speak.
You know, we usually talk about people drinking young and saying, well, your frontal lobe's not developed, but your whole brain wasn't developed.
Yeah, and I didn't. I mean, it's not like it was a regular thing. It didn't happen all the time, but it happened enough that it was a running story in my childhood and family. And didn't stop until I came across a butt can, which cured me of that real quick.
A mouthful of cigarette ash will do that.
Oh yeah.
I once stuck my brother's
from
mouth.
that point on, anytime I drank, it was always to excess. I mean, always. There was never an off switch for me. So I do honestly believe that I am genetically wired for alcoholism, addiction, whatever you want to call it. I never had that off switch. I mean, at 12 years old, I went to the beach with one of the producer's nephews. He had a volleyball wear company, and this is when beach volleyball was blowing up in the 80s. And we went down to one of the biggest beach volleyball opens down in Hermosa Beach. We spent the day on the beach drinking beer. Then we went to parties like all night, and I'm 12 years old and I'm pounding beers. You know, to the point where I got sick, really sick. And then now most kids, you'd go and puke your guts out horrifically from drinking 30 beers over the course of the day. What do? You go curl up in a ball. I went back to the cooler.
Damn, man.
My brother still doesn't drink tequila from the time he vomited on a dog.
Yeah, that's a normal person. I went right back to the cooler.
Right.
So again, I just never had that off switch. And once I began self-medicating with the alcohol, like I said, none of that before is an excuse. I just was unequipped to deal. And I chose alcohol as my coping mechanism. And it went south very, very quickly. I mean, I maintained for a long time, that's for sure. But I got to the point where I needed a drink on a regular basis very, very quickly. I was carrying around a flask. It was pretty intense.
Wow.
That's awful.
And I guess my next question out of that, you can tell me if I'm prying too deep at any point. What was your parents and grandparents' perspective on this? Did they want to get you off? Were they helping this happen? Like what was?
Well, you have to understand this was a different time. This was the 70s, early 80s. My grandfather used to be able to take me to the bar with him and set me on the bar. He'd get me a Shirley Temple and he'd drink beers and vodka with his friends. That was normal. A cop could walk in and it would not have been a problem. Right. This was a very different time. My grandparents were functional 70s alcoholics who had alcohol around the house all the time, but who were also the type of people who never missed a day of work, never missed a car payment, were responsible, got their work done. But you could bet by 5:05, they had their butts in their favorite bar seat.
So
You
they're
know,
Australian.
that's what I was raised as normal. You know, that's kind of what I was around. So
Australia.
it was kind of a joke. You know, it was a running family story that was funny that I was the kid who ran around and drank all the beers. It didn't become a tragic part of the story until later when everybody realized, oh crap, he has a real problem.
Yeah, I've gone a little too far in the deep end, I guess.
Well, it's one of those things. They didn't catch the red flag when it was a red flag.
Mhm.
So when it became a problem later, they went, shit, it was a red flag.
Right.
And you know, there are a lot of cultures where people drink like that. Like I'm joking and saying Australia's like that, but it's still like that. That's how it is. You go there. It's how everyone drinks. It's normal.
Well, that's again, I don't think I could ever
Normally,
I have
drink.
a feeling I have a wiring issue, chemical issue, whatever it is, I could never have been a normal drinker. But I am a big believer in the fact that, because I've seen the data, the cultures who have normalized drinking have a much lower rate of alcoholism among their youth.
It's because it's not used as a rebellious thing.
Exactly. My friends who are Jewish, who were raised drinking wine at a young age at the Seder and at Passover, and it's not some mysterious thing to them that they're dying to try and experiment with and all this other stuff, you know?
I think we need to be very clear, though. It's also very different than, you know, you're talking about being 4 and 6. I mean, that's
a big difference. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
What you know, we're talking about teenage binge drinking. That is not, I mean, it's awful, but it's not comparable to a child that young.
No.
That. God, I'm so itchy. Sorry. I think it's
I'm a bit curious too. You mentioned that you made a decision to kind of mitigate with the alcohol. I mean, medicate. I'm sorry.
Did you get punched yesterday?
Yes. I don't. Is it really fair to say that? I mean, you were 12. How could you have made that decision for yourself at 12 years old?
Well, that wasn't when I started really drinking. That was just a fun experiment.
Got it.
It was later on when my anxiety disorder really kind of set in, when the trauma from my abuse really kind of unearthed itself from my psyche. That all started coming out around 17 years old or so.
Okay.
And that was around the time that I started experimenting more with alcohol, started sneaking more. And by 18, I was regularly carrying a flask.
I do have to say, I'm not sure that counts as an experiment. Most 12-year-olds are experimenting with like vinegar and baking soda. It's not like that. It's not quite what I would call that. On the producer's part and on the person that own this company, I'd say contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Child abuse, there are lots of words I would use for it.
Oh yeah, but again, and I'm not saying it makes it okay, but it was just a very different time. It really was. I mean, you're talking about a time, and yes, it was horrible, but you're talking about a time where people were letting Drew Barrymore into New York nightclubs at 9 years old. People didn't blink at doing this stuff.
Yeah, but she ended up mangled.
Well, that's what I mean. It ended up bad. I'm not defending it in any way. I'm just trying to make you understand that it was a very different time. There was a very different mindset, and people did not take things as seriously. They didn't see the ramifications as clearly as they do now. So it was a really weird and different time. I mean, the fact that I regularly sat on a bar stool and hustled pool with my grandfather at 6 years old in a bar, he'd be arrested nowadays. But it was nothing anybody blinked at back then.
Right. And now that's obviously a very dark topic, but I think it was essential to get it out to people who may not understand what the industry can do for you, especially if you're already dealing with some type of past trauma as well.
But you look at what it's done to women, you look what it's done to men, you look what it's done to gay men. I dated for a very long time. Like when he and I started dating, everyone thought he was gay because and I mean in the industry, because I was like a beard for half of the NBA and NFL because it's not cool for them to be gay. We repressed that. So I started dating him. They're like, "Oh, gay cage fighter." I'm like, "No, I'm actually dating him." They're like, "Come on."
Yeah, you can
like,
be a little bit
bullshit. I'm like, "No, really, I swear." We live together. God damn it! Like it was. was not good.
It would be a bit hostile to different people, different types of people.
It is, but look what it's done to women. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I was really lucky. I came up onto people that were very protective. I was really lucky. It sounds like, not with your stepfather, but with the industry, you were lucky. And I hate to say that that's what it is, but not having things like that happen. Like, I started at Victoria's Secret when I was 16.
Mhm.
That could have gone horrible. It could have gone horrible.
Absolutely. One of my very dear friends started acting at about 14 or so. And by 16 years old, now she was a well-developed girl young. And by 16, she had already had 5 or 6 different producers try and get her to take her top off in an audition.
Oh, yeah. Look,
I'm talking about a 14 and 15-year-old girl here.
look at, I mean, we were talking at the beginning of the show about the YouTubers, Tana Monjo. She was 17 and Cody Co slept with her after being told by Gabby Hamner that chick's 7, you know, she's a kid.
25 at the time too.
Yeah, she's a kid. Like, it's a catch-22. I think it depends on who you come in under and the protection you have. Anyone looked at me, my mom was screaming jailbait when I was 16. And, you know, I was legal in Australia, but not here. And so, you know, she used that to keep everyone the hell away from me. And then by the time I was like 17, I started at 16. I was working for the president of Viacom at that point as an intern. So no one would have screwed with me then.
Right.
I just got very, very, very lucky.
Mhm.
And I put it that way. And with the man you had in your house, good God,
Yeah.
like the lucky is the understand that. Oh, you know,
It didn't go. That side of it didn't go real well.
no.
But I was lucky in that I was very protected on set.
Yeah.
My family was always there, and during the time when my mother was having my younger brother, she wasn't able to be on set. I had other people looking out for me. I had my set teacher, who I was very close to, Millie, who, you know, kept a very close eye on me. I had Alan and Joanna, you know, who played my mom and dad on the show, who were my second set of parents. I mean, they both whooped my butt when I was young. You know, it was that they put me in my place when they needed to, but I was always looked out for. So I was protected on set, and I was very lucky for that, especially knowing what I know now, and that I was working with 2 very, very
Yeah.
dangerous pedophiles. Sorry, kitty touchers.
Yeah, YouTube's weird about that for some reason. We do have to watch
Yeah,
out.
it's
Just like that. Like, a couple
Spotify
of
also
words.
play it. Like, we're cool.
Spotify. Yeah. You seem to have come out of it all pretty well managed. I'm sure you let learn a lot and go through a lot.
He's
too.
an actor. Like, he can act. He can act normal. We don't know if he's okay.
Oh.
I don't act that well anymore. I've done a lot of recovery work. That's really the truth. There's only one reason I'm anywhere close to where I am now, and that's because I'm sober and I've done the work. You know, I've done a lot of soul searching, a lot of self-reflection. I am probably one of the more self-aware human beings on this planet. I have pinpointed damn near every fault, and every moment I see it pop up, I do whatever I can to try and push it back and go the opposite direction. One of the things I live my life by now is something called contrary action. You know, whatever I don't want to do, that's what I'm doing. You know, that's an anxiety thing. If I don't want to do it, then I know I need to get it done. I know that's what I need to be working on. There's just a lot of different things that I've learned to manage my life, to manage my addiction, to manage my anxiety, and it's taken a lot of work. I don't personally like medicine because I'm the guy who gets every side effect that they have on the list. That's me.
No.
It doesn't matter what it is. I'm the guy who gets every side effect on the list. So I hate taking meds. I've done all the anxiety meds and all the different stuff. I've tried to do the medical route. And anybody who needs that, I am not telling you not to do that. I'm not a doctor. Do not listen to me. Listen to your doctor. If he says you need it, take your damn medicine. You know, I've seen it happen in recovery. There's guys who want to tell people you're not sober if you're on, you know, prescription meds from your doctor, you know, for psych meds and things like that. I've seen guys stop the meds and kill themselves within 3 days because some dumbass opened their mouth and tried to be a doctor and tried to say, well, you don't need that and you're not sober. So if you're going to be sober, you have to stop. these people are dead within 3 days most of the time if they stop. So I'm not telling anybody not to do it, but for me, they don't work. So I've had to do all of this naturally. I've had to do all of this with feet on the ground work. I've had to find ways to manage it. I've had to find techniques. I've had to find things to meditate, to calm myself. There's a lot of things I do to keep myself okay.
Man, thank you for adding, along with that story, thank you for adding in the caveat of please listen to your doctors. Because that could
a shocking amount.
so many different ways.
It can be really misconstrued. Like
Yeah.
a shocking amount of people don't say that. Even on this show, we're the ones usually jumping in with the caveat of maybe
hey,
listen to a medical.
We're not medical professionals. Don't listen
Thank
to
you
us.
for that. Yeah.
That's a huge core tenet of recovery. It really is we are not doctors. You know, I'm not here to tell anybody else anything medical. I can tell you how I got sober. I can tell you what I do to stay okay up here, but I can't tell you what you need medically. You know, it's not my place. And I do what I do because I know how those things affect me. I have family in my life that do take medication that it works wonders for.
I'd like to,
you know,
we're talking about something serious. Usually the most medical advice we get on here is like use lubricant. So it's really nice to talk about something.
That is, to be fair,
that's wonderful advice as well. But
I'm just saying, like, it's nice to talk about something that could actually positively benefit people for a change. We usually talk about, you know, don't get punched in the head and get CTE. So we have about 4 minutes of the show left. Can you please tell everyone where to find you on social media so they can continue the conversation with you?
You can find me on Facebook at Jeremy James Miller, and you can find me on Instagram at The Real Jeremy Miller.
You need to get on TikTok and see all the growing pains stuff. Like, really.
I know. And everybody is I've been hammered by my best friend, my old podcast partner, and my fiance. It's honestly right now a self-help thing for me. I have too many things sucking up my time already and my attention, and I'm trying to stay focused on all the other things I'm doing, these projects I'm working on. Right. So getting another thing that I got to start posting with that's going to start drawing my attention, that I'm going to start scrolling through it 2 a.m. when my insomnia, it's just not something I need right now.
Hey, that's fair. You know, speaking of those projects, what are some things that people can look forward to seeing from you?
So this television show I'm working on is called Angel. I play one of the lead characters' partner. I'm a detective. That should be out sometime. I believe the first episode of season 2 will be premiering, I want to say, by the end of the year, beginning of next year. I don't know the network for sure, like I said, but I believe it did premiere on BET. So I'm hoping that that's where the second season will be.
I'm going to tell everyone, distro's really messed up right now between the pandemic and a bunch of strikes. Things are shifting. Things are being sold. Things are being distributed. And things are being put out off season, where usually we could tell you like, oh, this date, this date, this date. Like this is when stuff's put out. He's right. It's really mangled right now.
I've had my favorite show have like 2 seasons on Hulu, and then the 3rd season's on Netflix. Like,
yeah, it's getting a little weird at the moment. But if you want to be able to follow it and you want to see exactly where it's coming out, just follow me on one of my social medias. I'll post everything that's going to be coming up, where it's going to be. I also have 3 movies that are just getting their financing back after the strike. You'll love this. We got greenlit 2 weeks before the strike for all 3 films. I've been trying to get these going for 7 years. 7 years. We got greenlit 2 weeks before the strike. Yeah. And then held on to our financing until 3 weeks before the strike ended, and the financiers had to pull it.
I have to tell you, if you want to know who to blame for the strike and the pandemic, Rachel Alexander, she wrote Receiver of Money, Hear Me Out. I'm doing her show. We're talking to Stars on BBC right now. I think she won Stars. I'm pushing for BBC because I want to go to Australia. We were set with HBO before the pandemic. We have reset this book so many times, and then the book got ripped off like 4 different times. So now she's in lawsuits over it, and we're doing this. But I'm telling you, every time we move ahead with hers, something happens.
I feel you.
We decided we're going to do an animated intro to her show, and now the animation strike. So if you want to send hate mail, it's to Rachel Alexander, Receiver of Many. I'm just saying.
I love it.
Financing.
So yeah, I'm working on those, and then I'm also actually going to be doing some of my first directing on some children's shorts for European television. I'm working with a company that does these wonderful puppets for kids and stuff, and we're going to be producing some children's television for these 5 different channels in Europe.
Like Jim Henson style puppets, or like
actually they are sock puppets. Everyone has a different character, and you know.
So neither Jim Henson nor Creepy, a whole new version, like sock puppets. I like that. What made you decide to do sock puppets? That's really cool.
It actually is already in development. I met a wonderful guy named Rob who had these characters. He's a lifelong puppeteer, and he's also a philanthropist, and he saw a chance to start doing these puppets. He wants, each puppet kind of has a message. He focuses on like the old Beatitudes of treating people well. And it's just kind of the old school stuff that we were taught that we want to start teaching kids again. Yeah. And he's using the puppets to do that. And the profits from that, he's turning around in different charities that he supports. So it just was a wonderful project for me to get involved with. And I've always liked puppets, and I think they're really kind of cool. So I got really excited doing it. And so anyway, I'm going to be directing some of those shorts, and
it's wonderful.
I have a reality kind of thing that I'm trying to get moving at the moment. I can't give you too much detail, but it is based around engagements, and it would be called Finally. And it's something that I've been trying to put together with my fiance for quite a while.
I like that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, got a lot of things in the fire at the moment. Please follow me on one of the social media sites if you want to see what's coming up and where it's going to be.
Follow him on the social media sites and tell me about the puppets. Tell me if they're creepy before I watch. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate all of your insight. And it's great to see a functional adult that came from a child actor. No offense.
Thank you. It was great talking with both of you.
Thank you for joining us on the show.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
I'm Summer Helene.
Oh, is it my? Okay, I'm Bear Fiorda. Usually she says both our names. Making me say my own name.
This is Behind the Scenes.
We'll see you next
week.
This has been Behind the Scenes with Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda. Only on Talk 4 Media.